This is BNN, the most trusted name in nonsense.
Dullards Club meeting starts out very informally this week because, well, against our better judgment, it started. We're doing
damn
it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One thing I wanted to do before we get too involved is I had the jokes that I've been meaning to share with you for the last 2 weeks.
And we've been waiting to hear them for 2 weeks as well. So okay.
I'm going to have to read it because I haven't memorized these things. On their way to get married, a young Catholic couple was involved in a fatal car accident. The couple found themselves sitting outside the pearly gates waiting for St. Peter to process them into heaven. While waiting, they began to wonder, could they possibly get married in heaven? When St. Peter arrived, they asked him if they could get married in heaven. St. Peter said, I don't know. This is the first time anyone has asked. Let me go find out. And he left. The couple sat and waited for an answer for a couple of months. While they waited, they discussed the pros and cons. If they were allowed to get married in heaven, should they get married? What would the eternal aspect of it all be? What if it doesn't work? Are we stuck in heaven together forever? Another month passed. St. Peter finally returned, looking somewhat bedraggled. Yes, he informed the couple, you can get married in heaven. Great, said the couple, but we were just wondering, what if things don't work out? Could we also get a divorce in heaven? St. Peter, red-faced with anger, slammed his clipboard on the ground. What's wrong? Asked the frightened couple. Oh, come on, St. Peter shouted. It took me 3 months to find a priest up here. Do you have any idea how long it's going to take to find a lawyer?
That was a good one, Don. Do you have another one? Or
I do. I have two. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to share them all because otherwise I'll forget. Let's see.
I got one for when you're done.
Okay. A guy walks into a bar with a pet alligator by his side. He puts the alligator on the bar and turns to the astonished crowd. A proposition. Behold. What, have you heard this before, Pat?
No, I'm sitting here trying to. I'm visualizing a pet alligator.
Yes, okay.
That he's
if this is the one I think it is, I've heard it, but go ahead.
Okay, behold, this alligator you see at my side has a very special talent. It will open his mouth and I shall place my privates therein. The gator will close his jaw for 1 minute. He will then open them again and I will emerge unscathed. In return for witnessing this wonder, each of you will buy me a drink. The crowd murmured their approval. The man pulled up to the bar, dropped his trousers, and placed his privates in the alligator's gaping jaws. The gator slowly closed his mouth as the crowd gasped. After a minute, the man grabbed a beer bottle and cracked the alligator hard on top of the head. The alligator opened his mouth, and as promised, the man had not a scratch. While the crowd cheered as the first of these free drinks were delivered, the man then stood and addressed the crowd again. I will pay anyone $100 who's willing to give it a try. A hush fell over the crowd. After a long moment, a hand went up on the back of the bar. A woman finally timidly spoke up. I volunteer if you promise not to hit me with the bottle. Oh,
I heard it slightly different. I heard it slightly differently. The guy says, I don't think I can keep my mouth open that long.
That's pretty good, too.
I was just thinking about where this joke came from or when this joke came from. Because for $100, you wouldn't get many takers to, I'm thinking, okay, if it were me and I was sitting at that bar, what would the price have to be before I'd raise my hand? It would be higher than $100.
Well, she was the only one that raised her hand. So.
It'd definitely be north of 6 figures for me.
You promised 3 jokes, Don.
Okay, this last one is okay. Yeah. A young blonde woman was driving through the Florida Everglades while on vacation. She wanted to take home a pair of genuine alligator shoes in the worst way, but was very reluctant to pay the high prices the local vendors were asking. After becoming very frustrated with the attitude of one of the shopkeepers, the young blonde declared, well then maybe I'll just go out and catch my own alligator and get a pair of shoes for free. The shopkeeper said with a sly smile, "Well, little lady, why don't you just go on and give it a try?" The blonde headed off to the swamp, determined to catch an alligator. Later in the day, as the shopkeeper was driving home, he spotted the same young woman standing waist-deep in the murky water with a gun in her hand. As he brought the car around to stop, he saw a huge 9-foot gator swimming rapidly toward her. With lightning reflexes, the blonde took aim, shot the creature, and hauled it up onto the slippery bank. Nearby were 7 more dead gators, all lying belly up. The shopkeeper stood on the bank, watching in silent amazement. The blonde struggled mightily and managed to flip the gator onto his back. Rolling her eyes heavenward, she screamed in frustration, "Damn it! This one's barefoot too!"
You know, your jokes have a decidedly crocodilian flavor to them.
Well, that's true. They do.
All right, I got one.
All right.
This young father is sitting at his desk at home paying bills, and his 4-year-old toddler comes in and looks at him and says, "Daddy, where does poo come from?" And the father was kind of taken aback. You know, this little kid is talking about stuff that he really shouldn't be talking about, especially at that age. But he didn't want to lie to his son, so he decided to tell him the truth. And he explained all about how the digestive tract works and how the body sucks out the nutrient and it passes down through the bowels.
I just realized where this is going. Go ahead.
And ultimately, it gets squeezed out of the butt. And he looks at his son, and the son is looking back at him, horrified, and looks at him for a couple of seconds and finally says, "Tigger too?"
Just about to say, what about Tigger?
Hey.
All right, Pat. Are you up
Oh
for
no,
one?
I've never been a joke guy.
Okay.
Just odd things. But that's the Dollars Club for this week, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have one, you know, I went to the doctor's the other day, and true story, and you know, just for like a routine thing. And this is a doctor that doesn't know me apparently all that well. She was asking me things. You know, she asked me if I'd ever smoked, and I said, you know, honestly, I said, well, yes, I did. I was maybe, you know, between the ages of like 16 and 18 or 16 and 19, whatever I did. So this is like a long time ago. You know, I kind of qualify as a non-smoker after
I would think
a century. I would think.
Well, if you look at your record, a health record, whatever, at least mine does, it still says former smoker. I quit in 85.
I mentioned before, I quit smoking when I was 16, when the cigarettes were 25 cents a pack.
Yeah. Oh, here we go with another way back point. It was 25 cents a pack.
No. I was reticent to bring it up because I knew that would happen. So
yeah, no. Well, I remember when my best friend and I drove to California, I got a carton of cigarettes for $10.
Well, I've got a good cigarette story. My parents never wanted me to smoke. So what they did in order to make me not want to smoke is they smoked their asses off. I mean, they just smoked and smoked and smoked, and of course told me that I shouldn't do it. And of course I thought that's a grown-up thing to do. I want to be a grown-up.
Sure.
So I remember one time a couple of friends of mine and myself, we stole a carton of cigarettes from my parents. And in those days, there were lots of cartons of cigarettes.
I was going to say they didn't miss a carton.
They'd buy it by the gross. Oh no, my dad was a 2.5, 3 packer, you know, a day. So he was going. So we go off in the woods. We smoked the whole carton that day.
Oh, you didn't?
Well,
how did you get past one pack?
I'm just going to say
well,
that's
the way a kid smokes. You don't inhale anything. You light it up and you get the longest, thing you can get on it. Then you get the next one. And we went through, between 3 kids, we went through a carton of cigarettes in the woods.
Oh
that
my
day.
God.
And I came home and no one ever asked about the smell or anything else because, of course, they couldn't smell it.
Because they smelled the whole house probably. But they didn't miss a carton missing?
Not that I remember.
Wow. Jesus. Anyway, I don't know about in your area, Pat, and I don't frankly even know near the city, but here in the burbs, it seems like there's a new bank popping up every other friggin' week. Not just branches for existing banks. They're new companies. They're new bank companies.
Name one.
Southeastern Saving, ESTON. I don't know why it's in Plymouth. Coastal Credit, not Coastal Credit Union. It is Coastal Credit Union. Okay, it's not a bank. So apparently I'm the only one that's noticed that. but
No, you're
it still
not
makes me
done it.
wonder why.
It does. I think there's a whole generation of kids now that grew up or without banks and really don't understand how banks are supposed to work. So they
Yeah.
so they have to have actual bank branches. I'm just as astounded as you are at this, because the last time I walked into a bank building to conduct bank business had to be more than a decade ago. And my thought had always been, what's the point? Everything can be done online. There's no need to walk
The
into
only
a
Or
reason
bank.
frankly,
I've been to a
ATMs
bank-
or the supermarket. Go ahead.
Right.
The only reason I've been to a bank in the last 10 years is to get quarters for the laundry. And the only reason I get those at the bank is because the damn supermarket down the street stopped making change at the customer service desk. You can't go in and get a roll of quarters anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was my little bitch du jour.
Hey, I've got
All
another
those-
gripe, another,
Yeah.
another little bitch session, since that's what this
Sure.
is turning into.
Yeah.
Don, you've got grandchildren, and Rich, I'm sure you've got nephews and nieces and so on and so forth. There's just always this need to dress the children up in, sports garb. You got to have, something that says, the team's name on it.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I was, I went out and I bought my most recent grandson a Red Sox hat, and now, of course, I'm having done that from the Red Sox team store. I'm getting 2 or 3 emails a day now from the Red Sox team store that this or another sale is about to end, and you better get your team garb now. And it made me think, if you watch a Red Sox game or watch any professional sports team's game, 3/4 of the people there are dressed as if they could step on the field. I mean, everyone's got the name, the name, the jersey,
I
and
never
it's all
got that.
it's all licensed stuff.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
It's not
I
the
think
$5
crazy.
Chinese one.
Well, I think not. And these things cost hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
But I was
even
never
for a
one-
little T-shirt, like a little baby one, one that's got snaps on the crotch,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
That's probably $20 bucks.
These things cost about $20.
Yeah.
They
And
should
the-
have
and the
those for
kids-
adults.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm wearing my Patriots polo over here that my brother got me for Christmas.
Really?
It's like $75.
Now,
See
do you
them in the stands.
get hassled in Virginia for wearing will the kid get hassled
No,
for wearing a Red Sox hat?
I don't know. I mean, he's 5 months old. He's not going to get hassled by anybody. It's just cute. But the other thing I was thinking about is, we always get these kids, the sports team things. But nobody gets them the Princeton Chess Club. It isn't done.
Rich, do you have a bitch?
I don't have a bitch, but I have an interesting story, I guess.
Okay, sure.
It's not really a story, but I mentioned it to you guys last week after we had finished taping the previous show. This thing called the Mandela effect.
Yes, I forget what it is already, but go ahead.
It's a phenomena where large groups of people have a false memory about something. And it's named after Nelson Mandela. And the reason why is because in the 80s or thereafter, people thought that he had died in prison. But there are multiple other examples of this. And one of the ones that I mentioned previously was the Fruit of the Loom logo.
Oh, right.
And a lot of people think that it included a cornucopia,
I
but
did.
it didn't. Anyway, some other examples are for Darth Vader, for example, never said, "Luke, I am your father." He said, "No, I am your father," when Luke referred to somebody else.
Okay.
Then there's
Play it again, Sam.
Yeah,
Play It
In
Again, Sam
Casablanca.
from Casablanca.
That's very
Nobody
good.
ever said that in the movie.
That's true.
There's the Monopoly Man. A lot of people think that he had a monocle. He's never had a monocle.
Oh, no, Mr. Peanut did.
Mr. Peanut did, but he's not the Monopoly Man.
Right,
I don't
right,
think there's
right.
No,
Mr.
he's
Peanut game.
definitely a peanut.
He had a mustache, the Monopoly guy, right?
I believe so, like a pencil thin mustache.
Yeah. I thought he had a handlebar, but maybe you're right. Yeah.
Rich, this is starting to border on like another segment of the show. And it's
What
the
segment
one
is that?
as the clock on the wall. Well, you can't see the clock on my wall, but it's telling me that it's time to stump the dullards.
And here we are, stumping the dullards. I
got a good
don't
stump?
have anything to stump.
Well, we're continually being stumped by Rich, who he has
Oh,
the
that's
Mandela effect, and I was thinking, is that must be closely related to what was the name? It's the thing that Patty Hearst experienced when she was kidnapped.
It's
like
not
the,
the
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome, right.
It's where you just start adopting the beliefs of the people that captured you, and you're
It's a
immersed
little
in that
troubling.
whole. Yeah, it is, but it's a thing.
I gotta tell you, I think that's a bullshit argument that they use just to get her off.
Like the Twinkie defense.
Yeah.
Like the Twinkie defense of the McDonald's hot coffee. But, well, was that the Twinkie
That was
defense?
actually a valid.
Well,
lawsuit.
it was, but it I'm sure it initiated a lot more lawsuits.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
People
As a
jumping
result.
on the bandwagon.
I thought I would go back and mine some of the podcasting gold that we discussed last
that'd
week
be great. Yeah.
when we were talking about TV shows that featured their single fathers in this case. Well, in all of these shows, you know that the single father, had a job, had to do something. So they always had somebody there to help, even though it was not a traditional wife, but it was
Mr.
somewhat in
French.
that role. And I was thinking if we could maybe just stretch our minds a little bit here and try to figure out or be stumped by this, who that person was. Who was the character that helped out? For example,
Well, I knew it was Mr. French in the Family Affair, right?
in Family Affair, it was Mr. French. Sebastian Cabot played Mr.
Right.
French.
Right.
But how about the courtship of Eddie's father?
I don't even know
That was Mrs. Livingston.
Oh,
Mrs.
good for
Livingston.
you.
She
I never watched
was-
that show.
She was the Japanese housekeeper.
She was? Mrs. Livingston was the Japanese housekeeper.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about Bonanza?
That was Hop Sing.
Oh, right.
You needed Hop Sing because Hop Sing needed he
wonder if
did all
that
the
was-
cooking.
I wonder if that was Mrs. Livingston's ex-husband or something.
There was a lot of
Concubine.
I know. Well, we remember Uncle Bob and Uncle Charlie
That
from
was
My
going to be
Three
my
Sons.
next one. Was going to be My Three Sons. Bub was the original,
Yeah.
but I think Bub.
Then he married Ethel Mertz. Oh no, was that the same actor?
I
Yes,
think
it was, but it was after
It
I
was,
Love
but I
Lucy.
think he died. I think he left us, and
Yeah.
that was the reason that Uncle Charlie. And I'm not sure Uncle Charlie was their real uncle.
Man,
He
he
might have been.
was
might have
an
just-
ornery old bastard. I remember.
How
Because
about
Bob was friendly. Yeah.
how about Bachelor Father?
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
I know. They had an Asian houseboy, and
Oh,
his name
stop
was
it. Another Asian?
Yeah,
His name was Peter Tong.
that was his real name.
No, his real name was Sammy Tong.
Oh,
They couldn't even come up with another name for him. They said, you got the perfect name. We'll just change your first name.
but when we had this conversation first, near the end, it veered off into trying to figure out what the opposite was, where
Right.
single women
Single
were
moms.
raising families. And I
Right.
thought of another one besides
One day,
at a time.
Okay, what?
Right.
And see if you guys can guess what it is. This is kind of a stumper.
Okay.
A little clue.
Well, we couldn't then. Give us a hint.
It was a Western.
Oh, that wasn't the one
Dr. Quinn?
Dr. Quinn? Oh no,
Nope.
okay.
Well, I don't know if she was single and raising a family, but it's not that what I was thinking of.
Well, wait a minute. Give us an era. And
Late 60s through the 70s.
How many kids?
I think it was at least 3.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was the sole breadwinner, huh? Did she own a ranch or a farm or something? Or
Yeah. All right, I'll give you the answer.
okay, yeah.
The Big Valley.
Real Barbara Stanwyck?
Ooh.
Barbara Stanwyck was the mother, and there was no husband.
Really? That's a good
Audra.
one.
I remember Audra.
Yeah, and Lee Majors was one of the sons.
Wow, no
That's-
kidding.
And
That was the
who was it?
counter
Linda
bonanza.
Evans played
Linda
Audra.
Evans, that's right. That was a big show. I mean, that was
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Big Valley.
wow.
I think it's time for us to leave it right there. It's
That's a perfect
This thing
cue.
out of its misery.
That's
it's-
a perfect segue.
it's been a great episode here and a great time being with you as always. And I think, as I said last week, and I will continue to say, if you know of anything that you think we should be talking about, or if you've got something that could stump us, and you know that's not going to be very hard, send
Keep
us
it
an
to yourself.
email. Send us an email to boring@thedullardsclub.com. Leave a comment on our YouTube channel. Leave a comment on, I think you could leave a
Website?
comment on Spotify, can't you? You could say
Certainly
something.
can. I think
Yeah.
you can.
But you
Yeah,
can
you
on the website, though.
Certainly a
The
thumb up or a
Dullardsclub.com.
thumb down you could probably leave.
Yes, and you can certainly get back to us on our website, which is thedullardsclub.com, and you'll find all kinds of little nuggets there as well. So I guess that takes care of us for another week, right?
Certainly
Thank
does.
God.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you next time around the horn. And
Rip-roaring fun.
have a great week.
Have a shame.